welcome. We have two guests today, Dave or David, I'm not sure which you prefer, and Marion, welcome.
Hello,
And
thank you.
before we get started, we just want to make sure we have your permission to have this shared on our YouTube channel from both of you.
Yes, you have my permission.
Awesome. David?
You have my permission. I hope you use it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we just had a couple announcements. We just wanted to let people know that our February 15th Kundalini activation is full, but we have opened a new date, April 17th. So if anybody's interested, we've already started getting people registering in there. So you can go to the website and check it out if that's something that you're interested in doing. And let's just get started. So if either one of you have a question, you can raise your physical hand or your Zoom hand, and we'll get started.
Okay, I'll do.
Okay, Marion, go ahead.
Okay, I had been in, probably I had a diagnosis 30 years ago. And at that time, it sort of started me on a process of spirituality. And then I listened to many channels. And then when I met Robin and Athena, it was like I really related to it all because I had a situation too where I had a breath that wasn't my breath. And everything she said and everything I listened to, it really resonated with me. And I've always wanted to heal myself of this condition, but I'm not able to like walk without aid and have difficulty walking in general. And I've done much work with my emotions and everything all along the way. All the stuff that Robin has spoken of, like I've tried to take that in and do it. So I'm just wondering, like, well, there's different things I know that are probably like mental blocks to me. Like I know I've had a few things that were worries about, like drinking, at a metal bottle, if those sort of things. But in stuff that I've heard Athena speak of, I think I think that's not a problem. Like those things are not as important. So I'm just wanted to ask that question for one thing.
Yeah. Well, things are important that you have actually contributed to in focusing on them in your belief, you see. And so we would tell you that if you hold a fear in regard to a metal bottle, then perhaps it is not a good idea for you to drink out of one. Yeah, that's kind of how a human creates in their experience. You've heard us say before that there is no good and bad, right and wrong, those types of things. A human creates through their focus, through their belief and perception in what it is that they're adopting. And oftentimes when someone moves to the protection of health, let's use that term, the guarding against the eating all the right things, doing all the right things. So they're adopting this belief now that this is what they must do in order to maintain their physicality to a level that they are satisfied with. When in actuality, your natural state in connection, in flow is good health. It is vibrancy. And then actually having the physical apparatus that is in tune with that or feels that way. Yeah. And so sometimes a human can do something in the direction of health, which is overcompensating or over worrying or over adopting certain practices or principles or things that they think they have to do in order to maintain that. And then what happens is when they don't maintain it or something occurs in their experience that they fall off the wagon a little bit, then this fear or this angst or this anxiety actually ensues. And that is ensuing because of the belief system that you have adopted and put a lot of your focus on and believing in, that you are veering away from something and therefore now you are open to have something happen. So this is what can actually occur with some of those practices. However, we would say that when you have them, then you must align to what it is you are perceiving and what you are believing. And you cannot take a metal bottle and bring it to your lips and hold within yourself not resonance with it or a feeling that it could hurt you, yeah, and then not have a negative effect by it. But you are the creator of the experiences that you are focusing upon, you see.
So how do I change that creation? Like, so that's what I'm trying to do is I don't like, there's part of me that doesn't believe it as well.
Yeah.
So how do I go more in that direction in my creation?
Yeah, well, trying to change a perception or belief or something that one has adopted as a truth for themselves is a difficult thing to do, because you cannot deny something. The universal part of you, or what you would call your God source, is painted on your skin. So the moment that you have something that you are believing in, perceiving in, or feeling, that emotion is immediately sent out and received in the divinity part of you, and then acted upon or created from. Let's use that term. Yeah. And so the only way to quote unquote, we don't like the word get rid of something,
Right.
to eliminate something maybe from your field, is to understand that you as a human cannot make yourself feel differently than you do, but the divinity part of you, through your invitation, I am choosing to be fearful of a metal bottle. This is what I am doing. This is the way I am creating in my experience. I'm holding this belief that if I avoid metal bottles, I will be healthy. And so now I have claimed it in the I am presence. The I am presence is the divinity part of you. When you claim something in your power, as it is what you are creating with, you are actually giving access to flow, or to the divinity part of you, to come in and assist you in releasing that fear or that thing that you are holding. The human itself is a feeler and an experiencer. That is a tool basically that's being used by the human aspect of you. And it's not really expected to change what it has perceived in its experience. It's expected for you to be grateful, for you to be appreciative, and for you to actually embrace it in all of the feelings and the ways that it is creating in its experience. And in doing that, you become a match to your source, which opens you to flow, which is where your vibrancy and your good health is. And those things just come in very naturally. There should never be any efforting. There should never be any coercing or denying a feeling or trying to make it different than what it is. This is going to expand negativity. This idea that there is an outside cause for your feeling is not an accurate one. It is one that many humans go to because they do not want to be responsible for some of the things that they're seeing in their experience. They don't want to really accept that. But the bottom line is there is no outside cause for how you feel, and that there would always be an emotion that would be contained within you that would match that feeling. So what would match the feeling of being fearful of or looking for things such as a metal bottle or anything else that a human might adopt as not being a good thing for them? Did this start, in fact, after you got the physical ailment, or was it something you were doing all the time in your experience anyway?
No, it started after that.
Yeah. So now I have this thing that has happened to me, this sickness, and I must prevent against it. I must look for
Right.
all the things that might be the cause of it. And then now what is the human doing? It's not feeling it's experiencing anymore. It's in fear. It's actually guarding itself, and it's actually inviting to itself more feelings that will match the uneasiness or the worries that you have. That's what's actually going to happen. There is a never ending amount of things that you will find on the internet or anywhere else that are problematic for you or could be the cause of something that's not going to make you well. And so going down that rabbit hole is not going to serve you or deliver you with anything that's going to make your experience better or something that you feel good in. Let's use that. Yeah. And so if we were to remove your sickness and we were to go back long before you ever had it, perhaps even into your childhood, let us ask you this: when you are looking for things that like the metal bottle or other things to make yourself well, what's the emotional value, what the feeling that you have, what's actually driving it, or what is the feeling that you have as you do that, pursue that avenue?
Okay. Well, I did a lot of examining of my emotions too, and where that led me. And I have this like feel, well, of course, in my body, I am kind of trapped because I'm can't move, very well. And I went
How
back
do
to
you
a
feel
time.
in being trapped? What does that
Yeah.
evoke within you? What emotions does that make you feel?
It well, it makes me feel it makes me feel anger,
Yeah. Mhm.
frustration, and like feeling that I should be able to, I think.
Yeah. A feeling that this is unfair, this is not fitting to me, or something. I'm not in a way that I visualize myself being
Right.
accepted.
Right.
Yeah, this is what you have. So that's coming from you, by the way. But it is just to understand that if we were to take your sickness and we were to move it aside, how does something like that energetically start to reveal itself to you? Well, there would be those emotions that you just mentioned, and they would be very active in your experience for a very long time before they built up to the level where they slow down the field enough that something that matches that slow vibration in the way that it will make you feel in a physical way actually enters in. And so we would to ask you if when you were growing up or in your early years, maybe even adolescence for you, did you feel a lot of anger? Did you feel a lot of frustration? Were you in a situation where you were being called to emote with those emotions?
So well, this incident that happened to me, I was like probably 7, and my aunt held me down on the ground and wouldn't let me up.
Trapped.
Trap, and that's the trapped. That's
Mhm.
where I feel that trapped came
Yeah.
from.
And there's some anger and unfairness and injustice also.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That an adult would even behave this way. Yeah.
Yes.
But it's still an outside cause. I had all those feelings because of her holding me down, isn't it?
Right. And
Yeah. And so
yes.
we would almost have to go back further, wouldn't we? We would have to take a look around prior to that, even maybe in early childhood, maybe even in lineage. But you know what we always say is the proof is in the pudding. It doesn't really matter whether that emotion was born in that moment or if it was born in a previous life or in your lineage. None of that really matters. If you are getting revealed a symptom or a circumstance and it makes you feel a certain way, the emotions that you have named are contained within the field and they are creating the experience. It's what's actually brought it to you. Yeah. So
And
we can't hate the experience and get the experience that we want because we are always being received in the way that we feel. So if I feel trapped, if I feel angry, if I feel frustrated because of this thing that has invaded me that I am pushing against, that has really come to help me, why did it come? Because the universe loves you. It wants to deliver to you what it has created by that negativity, by those things you felt all your life growing up. It had received you in them and it had a solution, a nice life, some things that you would not have been angered by or frustrated with. And it was waiting for opportunities to deliver that to you. But as you continue to hold that resonance, hold that tone, it was never able to enter your field. So then it decides to reform or decide another route or another way to get your attention. And after that, as much energy that has built up in you that slowed your field down, so your life force energy that provides you with health and wellness and the ability to feel good in your body is being deprived. It's not being deprived by the divine, it's being deprived by you because you're holding a different resonance than that which it can flow to. And so once you start to understand this, that illness came so that you would release what you're holding so that the universe could actually give you the solution to it. So how can you stand in hate of it? How can you stand in the distaste or dislike of it and expect that that's going to allow flow to get to you? It can't reach you in that tone.
no.
And we recognize that this is not a pleasantry for you. It's not something that you want to be feeling, but you have to recognize what it was trying to do. Everything in your life is something that is being lived through you or shown to you so that the divine part of you may connect to you and give you the solutions and the life that you want to have. That's what's actually going on. There's nobody outside of you trying to punish you. There's no unfairness. There's no unjustness. There's just you.
Right. I agree. So it's like now, I guess my question is,
I am so
where
grateful, human. Talk to yourself.
okay.
For what you have done, for the way you have persisted, in the way that you have emoted, in the way that you signaled, in the way that you tried to get me to release what I was holding. And then I'm also so grateful that you created this condition within me that I am adjusting to, that I am living with, that I am treating in ways that I am happy with and grateful for the treatments of. So everything that I emanate towards the human aspect of myself in what it was contributing to me in trying to get me to release energy so that I could become a match to my source is what I'm going to feed myself in the love of myself. It's about loving yourself in all choices, in all creations. When we become the lovers of ourselves, when we start to accept what it is that we have created by what we have felt, we become a match to the divine. Boom. The divine is the conscious, unconditional love, the one that observes itself in all that you are feeling and loves you anyway. It has no judgment, it has no condemnation to a life that's been lived wrong or needs to be done over or regretted. That's not what the divine is thinking of you. It is grateful for every feeling that you're having, and it has the ability to take those feelings and create solutions out of them. But you, as a human, are the experiencer, and you are allowed to feel the way that you do about what is manifested in your life. Some of it is not pleasant, but do it in awakeness. Don't do it in blaming an outside cause, a sickness. Don't do it in blaming a family member. Don't do it in blaming something other than what you yourself have chosen to feel, you see.
Right. Exactly.
Thank
Thank
Marion.
you.
David, did you have a question?
I have many questions, of course. Um, and I want to thank you because just this opportunity to talk to you, I had a chance to review everything, and it's like every question I've ever had has already been answered. So I want to thank you, Heidi, for bringing this about. I want to thank Robin, of course, for making it all happen. I would suggest to anybody, of course, to get the book, of course, buy a brand new copy. It's got all the answers in it. Join whatever, look at everything on YouTube. I can't tell you how much I appreciate everything you've done.
We are most grateful for your.
Thank you.
What can we serve you up today?
So, oh, okay. Well, so I thought about what I could ask, and there has been one thing that's been troubling me throughout my whole life. I have a great life. I live in the woods of Alaska. I spent my whole life working as a nurse. I mean, I have everything I need. God manifests stuff for me all the time, so everything is great for me. I'm having a great time. One thing that catches me is that I know that I create my own corner of the universe and everything, and it's reflecting wonderful. But then, you know, I see other people, of course, out there. I see the suffering people have, people in wars, people starving, people with medical conditions. You know, as a nurse, I feel that. And you know, I know that we're all just part of God doing our thing here. We're causing our own reality, and it's reflecting back. And so we're all causing our own suffering in a way, like Buddha would say, life is suffering. But to say that out loud is just it brings me down. It brings my energy down. Like you can't just say, you know, oh,
Well,
you know,
in
I'm
some
sorry you're
regard,
suffering, but you're creating it. So
yeah, well, they don't know they're creating it. They're unconscious. Yeah. So they are holding an emotional tone that is lower of the vibration of their source. So in that disconnection, they begin to suffer. And our description of suffering is a human that believes that they cannot achieve something or have something or be something that they are desiring to be. That'll create suffering instantly because the divinity part of you will never agree to that. It knows that you are the power, that you are the God source, and that you have the ability to create the reality that you yourself are wanting to have by the vibration that you hold. Yeah. And so in the view of others who are suffering, compassion is the tool or the thing that is recommended is that one can look at someone in difficulty and understand that they are gaining a lesson or learning from it. Yeah, let's use that term. And that eventually through suffering that a human will bring to itself a solution. So that call in suffering is constantly being received. And the divinity part of them is always looking for an opportunity to connect to them and provide them with a solution for things that they are suffering in. That's what's actually going on. We tell our clients and other people that we have had interviews with that moving to any kind of a pity or making oneself feel miserable or terrible as you view someone else in their struggle is creating more suffering in the world as a whole because you are being received sovereignly. And we know that that is a tough pill to swallow and that a lot of humans don't like the sound of it or the feel of it. But if you in fact look at how you are creating based upon how you feel, the universe does not know you apart from who you are focused on. So as you look at someone and you move into great sadness or great despair about the situation that you see them in, you are doing nothing more than revealing emotion within yourself that's calling you to heal it. That's what's actually going on. And the more that people do that, the more that they answer the call within themselves to heal the emotion that is creating the suffering, the more they pull it out of the masses as a whole. And so they become these lineage healers. They become these mass healers is what they actually become because we are all emanating from the same source. So those people that are suffering are contributing to the universe, to the world that you're living in the reflection of suffering, but they are being received at a much higher vibration by the source parts of themselves. And the energy that they are emitting because of their suffering is creating an expansion in the other direction. So as we focus upon them, we can, in compassion, we can hold that knowingness. You are not experiencing the pleasure or the comfort or the solution that the universe holds for you, but that does not mean that you are not one of the creators of it, that you are not one of the creators that is actually creating a better universe by what you are contributing in suffering. That's what's actually going on. And so we try to guide people as much as we can to be compassionate about the disconnected states that those are in that find themselves in suffering. And we don't want that to sound as though they're doing something wrong or that somehow their suffering doesn't matter or that there's a not compassion, let's use that, towards what they are experiencing. This is a contrasting plane, and it is a plane where there are many being incarnated who are rolling right in their energy centers where they left off. So they're bringing a lot of data with them based upon the lineages that they've been a part of and the feelings that they were having in the life that they were a part of. And so this would explain how some people or children very early on can make manifest some things that are difficult for us to see or to observe in their experience. And it would seem as though there should be no cause for it, or that it isn't a right thing that is happening. But those are vast beings. Those are very expansive beings who have lived many, many lifetimes. And even though they are in infant form, they are bringing in a mature amount of data with them into the expression that they are in. And so our advice to anyone that is in the presence of suffering is that you use that opportunity for yourself to look at what's evoked within you as you view it, and then move to heal the emotion. And most often it might be the emotion of those that are suffering. It could be, but you might have it too. It's why you have found yourself in a position where you're actually viewing those people, where you're actually on that TV show, where you actually see that person lying on the street. Not everyone is having the same experience that you are. You're having the one that's connective to you. You're having the one that ignites you or matches you. That's what's actually occurring. And so even though those things seem as though everyone is seeing them, everyone isn't seeing them. People are seeing them who match the emotive states of those that they are seeing, or the ones that are evoked within themselves. And then they are called to heal it. Anytime you move to suffering in your human experience, you are being signaled by your divinity partner of what you hold within you that is negating what it wants to give to you. And so if you would look at suffering or a feeling that does not feel good, and you would immediately go into surrender to it and the love of self for having felt it, this would allow in consciousness, full awakeness and awareness, the divinity part of you to come in and remove that energy from you, and therefore clear out or clean out space for itself in place of what was held that was not providing you with the experience that you were really wanting, you see. That's a mouthful.
That's a lot to think about.
Well, it is and it isn't. How much do you need to think about how you feel? When you are focused on something and you are identifying a feeling that is not attractive to you, this is the feeling that you need to move to. This is what the event or the exposure is all about. So there isn't a whole lot to think about other than observing yourself and how you're feeling and taking an outside circumstance or situation out as the cause of it.
Yeah, it just that
Something's
puts
not
all
setting well. Spit it out.
well I guess that makes okay, all the responsibility is with me on my end, which is great for my
What
world.
good
I'm
are
not
you in
worried.
negativity? Let me ask you that. What are you contributing to the whole as you are in this sad and sour state? What good are you? What is your
Well,
addition
that's true.
to the world as you
That
emote in that
that's
way? We'll tell you what your addition is. Humans that do this think that this is what a good human does. Makes them feel good about themselves, makes them feel as though they care, or that they are somehow compassionate or more connective maybe than someone else that isn't doing that. But that's not really true. The emanation that you emit into the world, it affects you and it affects the world as a whole. That's how you're being received. So in essence, one must look at the belief system, and we don't mean that you walk by someone and you don't give a hoot, or that it doesn't matter to you. Compassion is love, it is understanding, it is recognition of suffering, but it is not joining that suffering, because if you join that suffering, you lose resonance. And there's no power in a loss of resonance. So if you hold resonance in the knowing that this one is in low resonance right now, they have an opportunity to actually start to vibrate with you rather than staying in the bellows that they are presently in.
right. I get that. It's the lady touching Jesus's cloak while he's walking by, and him asking, "Who touched me?" You know, you've healed yourself.
Mhm.
I get that. It just sounds so it sounds so cold to say it that way, like that, you're creating your world. There's no, I guess,
Well,
I
think about
understand
that.
it.
Think about her
And
reaching up and healing herself. That's what she
right,
did.
Mhm.
right,
She may have
right.
had
And
a
that's,
thought or a notion before he said that to her, that he was going to heal her. And she might have even believed that, which enhanced her ability to heal herself. She might have, yeah. Humans
right.
use all kinds of tools. They use the runes, they use the tarot cards, they use pendulums, they use lots of beliefs and perceptions of things that can build their own belief and actually have a positive result because of it. Yeah. Mhm.
Right, I do that too. Yes.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. You are a product sometimes of your environment. And so what a human does to enhance themselves in their perceptions, in their beliefs, is actually a good thing. It has a positive effect upon them. We tell people all the time, if you are a person who believes in hard work in order to be prosperous, we would tell you to work hard. There's nothing wrong with it. But what we would tell you to do is work hard and be aware that you believe that. Don't just adopt the belief outside of yourself that I see people working hard and I know that's the only people that do well, so I'm going to do that too. That's not really adopting the truth of it. We want you to say, I have a perception or a belief lodged in me, in my belief system, that I must work hard in order to make a lot of money. And so I'm going to do it. That's what I'm going to choose to do. But guess what? When you do it in that way, when you do it in the conscious state, not in a frenetic state of I have to do this, I don't want to, but I believe I have to. I'm choosing it because I know I believe in it. I know my life experience has called this way of being out of me, and I'm going to choose it right now because that's the only thing I can grab onto or believe in. But in consciousness, in the awareness of what is chosen that creates in your experience, once again, you become open to flow. You become open to the divine coming in and offering you the solution, which would be, do you really want to work hard? Or do you want to have money come to you from opportunities and places that you never thought possible? It would start to implant the understanding that this perception that you have been holding is perhaps not the truth, you see.
Well, thank you. I don't want to take up all of Marion's time, so I'll let her have the shot.
All
But
right,
I
Marion,
hope
do
I
you
get
have
another
another
tip.
question?
Okay. I would just sort of like follow up on that same theme in that for me, I want to be the creator of my reality because I want to heal myself. So I'm not looking for someone else to be doing it for me. I want to be able to
Oh,
do it.
that's a lot of pressure for the human, isn't it?
Well, maybe that's,
Yeah.
maybe I'm pressuring myself in that.
Absolutely you are, because you are not the one that does the healing. You are the one that provides the opportunity for healing to enter your field by loving
Right,
yourself, by accept the condition you have right now
right.
and surrender to it. And in this awakeness and in this awareness, you give yourself an opportunity for flow to reach you. Get to the point where you decide that you are so trusting, so knowing that you are no longer going to concern yourself with it, that it's not going to be something that you're researching constantly, day in and day out, looking for another solution, another thing that you may have missed. You know what you've missed? You're not the one that does the healing. You can
Right.
follow
Yeah.
along in the internet if you want to, but the real healing is going to come to you through flow. That's how
Right.
it's going to come. Yeah.
And I do believe that too. That
Yeah.
is coming, I guess my
But
part
you know
was
what'll happen, and you'll be quite surprised by it, is as you begin surrendering and as you become the observer of how you feel in your experience, and as you give up the idea that I've got to get rid of this, I have to heal this, or I'm not going to be happy in my life, you just surrender to being happy now. You are going to rise up in consciousness and you'll reach a point where the illness becomes a non-issue. It becomes something that you no longer are focused on or obsessed with. Let's use that. Yeah. And you would never imagine in the state of consciousness that one is in suffering, in not liking it, in wanting it to go away, in the lower tone of those types of feelings, one can't imagine that in a rise of consciousness through the observation of oneself and the surrender to all that they are living and all that they are feeling, that they would actually enter into a field of consciousness of which the things that used to be of a consequence to them or something that really bothered them no longer does that. It doesn't have that kind of hold anymore. And actually, healing does normally take place at that level of consciousness, because the human no longer needs it. The human no longer is frustrated or on this constant driving search to try to eradicate something from their field. Do you understand?
Yes, I do. I just have one more question on that. Is I've always had this desire to be able to help others, and I love like this whole kind of getting in touch with the emotions inside you. But always felt held back, I think, by the thought that how can I help others if I can't help myself, or I wasn't able to help myself, sort of
Yeah.
thing.
You can help others by letting them know that they are allowed their emotions, that they are never
Right.
going to stop. They are never going to never have a negativity again. But we want to drive home the point that in a rise in consciousness, and what we mean by just by observing yourself and accepting what it is that you are experiencing and the way it makes you feel, your consciousness is going to start to lift up. And in the higher levels of consciousness, negativity is very fleeting. It doesn't carry the kind of attachment or suffering, let's use that term, that it does when you are really in the lower tones of emotion. So in a rise of consciousness, there is a lessening, and there reaches a point actually where there's a dissipation even of negativity. And the first sign or signal that you would have that this is actually occurring in your experience is you would be in a circumstance or situation where you were very familiar with it being something that would agitate you or send you to anger. Let's use that. And the thing will happen, and you will almost feel as though you want to reach for that. You want to go to the old way of being, and you will be looking for it, but it will not be there. It will not be an emotion that will be readily available to you. And this is what happens in a rise of consciousness. So when you're not there yet, it's hard to imagine that feeling or how that's going to feel, but you will reach that point. It's an evolutionary thing. And by evolutionary thing, we mean it doesn't happen overnight. It's something that you practice. It's something that you observe yourself and allow yourself and keep surrendering to the human experience and the way that it makes you feel. And all the while, there is more light getting into your field just by the love of self in what is allowed to feel. All of it is allowed to be felt, and your consciousness starts to lift and rise up, and then you will start to notice those changes.
And
Okay.
if I might just add, and Athena, you can weigh in on this, but when I heard you saying that you want to help others, but
Yes.
when you say you don't know if you've helped yourself enough, I guess I've felt that way at times too. And I think what you need to keep in mind is everybody's on a never-ending journey of expansion and growth. And so, maybe you have moved through some things that others haven't. So even though you haven't gotten to say where you want to be, there is things that you have to offer, because we're never done. And there's always going to be people that are ahead of you or behind you, but really it doesn't matter, because everybody's just having an experience. And so you should have the confidence, if you've moved through even a couple things that someone else hasn't, that you can be assistive to them.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a very good point, Heidi.
Yes. Thank you so much, Heidi. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. David, did you have another question?
Oh, yes, I do. Um, like I said, I live in the woods of Alaska and fairly remote, and but still things manifest for me all the time, and it's great, but it's almost comical and sometimes. And I use this example of I was looking through my socks drawer and I was looking at my underwear, and it had my underwear was getting holey and old. I hadn't bought an underwear in years and years. And this was the middle of winter. And so I said to myself, okay, well, I need to buy underwear. Just try to remember that next time I go to town. And I go to Whitehorse, Yukon, Canada once a year. It's about a 5-hour drive. And I go there once a year and I buy stuff and I bring it all back. And so I just kind of made a mental note, okay, next summer, buy some underwear. And that's all I thought about it. And then a couple days later, yeah, it was a couple days, and I went to go get my mail. And where I live, there's probably about 30, 40 houses in this area, and they all have mailboxes in one spot so the mail lady can come and just put the mail out there. And I went to get my mail, and there was a box, and it said, just a cardboard box, and it said, moving, free stuff, And first of all, that never happens. Nobody ever moves from here. Nobody ever sells their houses. It's just a bunch of cabins. The people are hired or they work somewhere else. So that was weird. And then for it to be free stuff, that I've never seen that. And I looked in the box, of course, and there was 2 unopened packages of underwear in my size, brand new, unopened,
Yeah.
in a style, in a brand that was much more expensive than I would buy.
Yeah.
In the
Well,
middle of the woods, in the middle of winter. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean,
yeah.
so of course it was, of course. But the thing I think is, my God or the universe works so hard to manifest stuff for me, but always with that little thing of it could be just a coincidence,
Has
that
a
it
sense of
happened to me.
humor, doesn't it?
Right. It's a sense of humor, right?
Yeah.
Is I guess, is it possible for that to ever just go away? I mean, can
Well,
you just say,
what it
yeah,
is good for you to observe is how manifestation can be effortless when one doesn't attach an immediate need or an incessant proclamation or desire that they need something, they have to have something. You simply put out to the universe, the underwear are getting a little whole, be nice to have some more. You didn't care. You could wear them till you got there. It was no problem. Yeah. But it is in this ease. It is in this expectation. You had no worry that you would get the underwear eventually. So you didn't hold any oppositional energy. So you're open. When a human wants a new house or a new car or a new spouse, they hold something that within themselves that prevents that from happening. It is not the universe not wanting to give it to you. It's the energetic feeling that they are holding that's preventative of that arriving. And Robin has had many of those synchronistic type experiences that you were talking about with things being delivered in humor in a very fun way. And that seemed to be small or didn't matter. But we would tell you that someone could manifest something very large that did matter if they were able to carry that same type of feeling. So in working at embodying that very relaxed, very easy. So what you had there was something that you expected to find eventually, was something that you knew you could get. There was no resistance to the item that you were acquiring. You would get it. Yeah. And so this is how one must make manifest things in their world, no matter what that they are. They must go about it in the same kind of easy. And Heidi actually has a story how she got her condo when she moved to Florida, don't you, Heidi?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Very similar experience. She made the proclamation, oh, if it just had a Panera bread and a Target near it, it would be great. Well, lo and behold, she is living across the street from it. So these are the kind of things that the universe, now that wasn't her primary. Her primary thing was to have a place to share with her family and her friends and be in warm weather and play her pickleball. And she wanted all those things. But the least resistive thing that she threw out at the end was throw in a Panera and a Target across the street and I'm in. And the universe was able to connect to that because there's no resistance or in that expectation or in being able to find that. Do you understand?
I'm beginning to, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I could be more like you, David, because if I was easier with things, things would come easier. I think that's what I need to learn is that just let it.
So we're revealing something right now that is evoked in you and your observation of yourself in your not being in ease. How does it feel to feel that way, as though nothing comes easy for you? You're not in ease. You're kind of uptight, and therefore you're not getting the experiences you want. What's the emotion that evokes in you?
Uh-huh. Um, like I'm not sure. I wish I could get in touch with that emotion, whatever that emotion is, that it's like
Condemnation,
maybe, pardon?
condemning. Yeah.
Condemning of myself.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
I'm not doing it right. I'm not able to
I'm
do
not
it.
doing it right. That's exactly it.
So what is the universe doing? It's calling you to heal that emotion. Oh, take a walk along the timeline because all the moments exist that you have ever lived at the same time in the moment that you are in. But the moment that you go to condemnation, the moment that you feel that emotion, you leave the present moment. Did you know that? And you actually go to the moment where you felt that condemning of a self, that noticing that you quite up to speed as you compared yourself to other people. You got a quick recognition that someone might be better than you. Someone might be doing something better. They might look better. They might be better. Yeah. Would this sound familiar to you?
Yes. Yes, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. So isn't it just miraculous? Isn't it wonderful, really, to know that here we are having a meeting with a man that you've never met, and he uncovered emotions within you that were being called to be healed?
Yeah, it's wonderful, really.
This is how the universe works. There's no one anywhere that you are not coming. We want you to have all of you have your antennas up, be paying attention to those that you are running into, those that you are interacting with, because they are bringing a stimulant, and that stimulant is going to reveal to you something that's held within you that's denying entrance of what the universe would like to send to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, I think that that's a wonderful place to stop. We are so grateful for you two to coming on our show. Robin and I always kind of get a chuckle because the synchronistic way that people are brought together, like she just mentioned, it happens every time we have an interaction. So it's
Yeah, it was
kind of
really a
fun.
pleasure meeting you both. Thank you so much for
Yes.
coming in.
Oh,
It's
you
really nice.
both too. Thank you so much for all you do. It's so wonderful.